Christianity Bible and Alcohol Episode 5, Bible Words for Wine, Part 1. Welcome to the time of relief. I will be treating the Bible words describing beverages both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. One of the claims of prohibition advocates is that the Bible words for alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages are generic. That is to say that it is entirely left to the text to determine if a particular word describing a drink is alcoholic or not. This grants the prohibitionist to randomly assign an alcoholic or non-alcoholic status to a wine as they wish. If a wine is abused or spoken of in a bad light, that makes it alcoholic, and if is just drank not to drunkenness, or spoken of in good light, that makes it non-alcoholic wine. The same kind of wine Noah got drunken on, bad alcoholic wine Yehi in Genesis 9:21, became good non-alcoholic wine Yehi and when Melchizedek gave it to Abram, Genesis 14:18. It was an evil alcoholic Yehi and wine Lot got drunk with, Genesis 19:33, but became a good non-alcoholic Yehi and wine, when Isaac drank it before giving Jacob corn, oil, and good non-alcoholic wine, Tirosh, Genesis 27:25. This kind of ambiguity characterizes the manner prohibition doctrine is upheld. Contrary to the prohibitionists, the Jews have a specific word for different types of drinks, particularly wine. The dominant Hebrew word for wine is yehian. According to Strong's Annotated Bible Concordance and Dictionary, yehian is defined as meaning effervescence, wine, as fermented, by implication intoxicating, banqueting, wine bibber. Yehian by this definition is specifically alcoholic. Wikipedia says it also rarely, and perhaps figuratively or anticipatorily used to refer to freshly pressed non-alcoholic juice. Note the words, rarely, figuratively, or anticipatorily. You will see such use in texts like Amos 9 verse 14, and chapter 5 verse 11, Isaiah 16 verse 10, Jeremiah 48 verse 33, Genesis 49 verse 11, Zephaniah 1 verse 13. Prohibitionist uses such texts to say that yehian could mean alcoholic or non-alcoholic wine. But this is circumstantial evidence because yehian is indirectly a product of vine, as pastries are indirect products of wheat. Therefore saying disruption in wheat production would affect pastries should not be taken as meant pastries are plucked off wheat. This is what these scriptures are saying, God's judgment on one of their source of income, grapevine. It is grape juice, tirosh, that ferments producing alcoholic wine, yehian its end product. Job describes fermentation, with gas bubbling off fermenting grape juice turning into alcoholic yehian, just as palm wine, or juices of plant foams due to fermentation. Job 32:19 compare it to Matthew 2:22. Yehian seems not to be solely produced from grapes of the vine. Two texts suggest this. Nehemiah 5:18 speaks of all kinds, or all sorts of yehian, while this could also mean different qualities of yehian. Song of Solomon 8:2 speaks of yehian has been produced also from pomegranate. This is understandable because pomegranate gives a purplish red alcoholic wine similar to red grape wine. Wine as yehian occurred 140 times in the Bible, that is 65% of 8 of the words describing Bible beverages, alcoholic and non-alcoholic wine, and beer, or strong drink, as called in some translations. For this very fact that Hebrew has more than 8 words for alcoholic drinks, but only one primary word for non-alcoholic wine, tirosh, and tirosh primary usage as farm produce, mostly appearing alongside corn, and oil as symbol of God's blessing, used for tithing and offering, Numbers 18:12, but referenced only once to as a drink, Isaiah 62:8, proves that the alcoholic wine, yehian, is the dominant drink of the Bible. Yehian was used as an everyday meal accompaniment, Joshua 9:12-13, Judges 19:19, 1 Samuel 25 verse 18. Also 2 Chronicles 16:2. Yehian is almost always spoken of as a beverage. Anytime wine is used for banquet, libation, or as a drink or drunkard is mentioned, it is always alcoholic yehian, except one instance, Isaiah 62:8, when tirosh was used. While tirosh, a grape juice, or non-alcoholic wine, is almost always spoken of as a farm product, not as a beverage. Every minister of the gospel and every serious student of the Bible, a child of God, should have a Bible with concordance and dictionary. I strongly recommend Strong's. It can be freely downloaded. Yehian is not only spoken of like an alcoholic drink, but it is used also as a symbol of God's judgment, with a drunkard in stupor and shame in pain as an allegory of the wicked under God's judgment. Tirosh is also used as a symbol of God's judgment on economic strength, farm produce, except in places where the word drink appears, where Yehian is used instead, because as I've noted, alcoholic Yehian almost always appeared with the words drink and wine. Lastly, the Bible always make distinctions between an alcoholic and non-alcoholic wine even when they appear in the same passage, Genesis 27:25-28, and he said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee." And he did eat, and he brought him Yehian, and he drank, and bless him. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and tirosh. Note, he drank Yehian, a drink, and gave him tirosh, fruit of the ground, a blessing. This dichotomy of Yehian and tirosh is also shown in Micah 6:15. Thou shalt sow, but thou shalt not reap, thou shalt tread the olives, but thou shalt not anoint thee with oil, and sweet tirosh, but shalt not have Yehian to drink. Message by Reverend Silas Olufemi. Or, if you are blessed by this message, please click on the subscribe button, and like my Facebook page, Time of Relief. Telephone and WhatsApp number, 2348099863872. Lagos, Nigeria, Voice TTS.